David, we were just saying, does it feel strange to come back to the club when it's remembering something that was such a momentous moment in football?
It certainly doesn't seem that long ago. It's 20 years ago now, obviously. It is strange coming back. I've been back a few times for various dues for Tony Hopper. And I played a couple of games over at Workington, stuff like that. But yeah, it's strange being back, but it's great to be back. I loved it up here. Just
before we talk about your involvement in that game in particular, what was it like to be involved in the club at a season like that when it was starting to unfold and get more and more difficult?
It was a difficult time. Michael Knighton brought a few players in at the start of the season, of which I was one, and he brought them in with the best intentions. Steve Finney came from Swindon, Damon Searle came, Scott Patterson. So we had the bakings of a good squad. We won the first game, everything looked bright, and then over a period of time there was obviously behind the scenes there was a lot of upheaval. We found ourselves in that situation, and we were struggling to get out of it.
You mentioned the quality of the players. That behind the scenes stuff, it must have had a bearing on what was going on out on that pitch.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. I think players use that as an excuse sometimes, and I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to say, I was at Man City when they were trying to get Peter Swales out and trying to get Franny Lee in, and it is a distraction, but I think players sometimes use that as an excuse because they're not there for whatever reason. We didn't gel together because individually, there were players that had played at a higher level. So it was just strange, really, and there were a couple of managerial changes during the season, and it was just a bit of a funny season, really.
There was a lot of talk about Michael Knighton being involved in picking the team and stuff like that, but I don't think that was the case, was it?
Well, I don't know about picking the team. Obviously, I wasn't in on meetings with the managers. As far as I'm concerned, his involvement wasn't on a day-to-day basis at all. I never saw him out on training, or if I did, it might have been a couple of times all season. And knowing the man that Nigel Pearson is, I don't think that he would have had that, and he would have put up with that. Nige, he's a proper old school top man, great footballing bloke, good manager. That he's proved since, and I don't think he would have put up with that, to be honest.
Yourself, David, you're in that mould. You're a really demanding player. When you played, you were at the top level. What was it like to be involved in a team that was going through that?
It wasn't easy. I'd played at Man City, played 50 games there, and then went to Bradford, got promoted at Bradford, went to Northampton, got to the playoff final there to get into the Championship as it is now. So I'd had a few years of success, and then I came here. I got offered another year at Northampton, and we were settled down there, myself and the wife. We just moved into a house in the March or April of that year. My contract was up, so she wasn't very happy. We had a few tears coming up here, couldn't get a lot further away, but I came up here looking forward to it and wanted a new challenge. It was dropping down a division, but I was happy to do that because of the calibre of player that the chairman had brought in, and I could see good things happening here, but unfortunately it didn't turn out that way.
That was a genuine feeling around the club, wasn't it, during that summer? It looked like it was going to be a good season.
It did, and as I say, we won the first game, and you think, well, here we go, we're going to have a thing. We just couldn't string a run of results together. We probably didn't win 3 on the trot all season that season. We probably won 2, but we certainly, I'm pretty sure we didn't win 3. So we just couldn't, for whatever reason, and sometimes that happens. People spend a lot of money, and sometimes people don't gel. Even in the Premier League now, Fulham spent over 100 million quid in the summer, and it doesn't guarantee you success. Now, obviously, the chairman didn't spend that sort of money, but he shelled out decent wages to players that had played at a higher level, and it started off looking good. We played well pre-season. And then it all went wrong.
When it started to become a genuine relegation battle after Christmas, what does that feel like?
To be honest, I did an interview the other day with somebody, and I didn't think we were ever going to go down until the Tuesday or Wednesday of the last week of the season, when Plymouth went to Scarborough. Scarborough battered them 3-0. say it was the Tuesday night or Wednesday night, and I bought a house up here. We were living out in High Heskett, just on the A6, and I had to go for a walk for an hour. And that day or that night, I thought, we're in trouble now, because it was out of our hands then. We came in the next day, which would have been the Thursday. Nigel was brilliant. Weren't talking about the game as such. We had a laugh. As I said to somebody the other day, Glassy, all that week, never played in goal once. I hardly see him playing goal in training. Thought he was a centre forward or a right winger. He was running around like an idiot. We trained over the back the last couple of days, and he was running around. He never went in goals. He probably didn't even put his gloves on for those 2 days. So, it was quite relaxed the Thursday, Friday. And then obviously we came in a little bit early on the Saturday just to prepare for the game.
Can you sleep a night before a game like that?
I didn't sleep on that Tuesday or Wednesday, whenever the Scarborough result was. But the Thursday night, Friday night, I was fine. Yeah, I wasn't one to get really nervous, to be honest, because I think I was one of the older heads at the time, and I think if people saw me being a bit like that, then that might transmit to the younger players. So I try to keep everyone's heads up and have a laugh and a joke. I'm a bit of a clown, really. So
that was one of the questions I was going to ask. Where is the responsibility for one of the senior players? Where does that lie, and how difficult is it to shoulder that? It
lies in showing the younger players that you're not feeling the pressure, even if you are a little bit. At the end of the day, you've just got to get on with it. The problem for us that week or that game didn't matter what we did. If they won, we were down. But, we had to give ourselves the best chance. And the best chance wasn't going to be a draw. Draw's no good. The best chance was to win the game, and everything else will take care of itself. If they win, lose or draw, we can't do anything about that. We can't influence that. So we just try to be positive. But it was, if I remember right, it's a bit of a flat game, really. It was 0-0 half time, and there wasn't a lot. The crowd were obviously a little bit nervous and that. Then they scored straight after half time. A few things filtered through from the Scarborough game, and then I scored. And you thought then that that would lift us and go on to. But again, we didn't really create a lot of chances after that, till the obvious one late on.
Let's talk about your goal. One of the best strikes you must be from your career.
Yeah, it was. I didn't score that many goals. I think I probably got double figures. Probably got 15 in my career, 16 in my career. I got 4 or 5 a couple of times in a season at Hull or Northampton. But I didn't score many, and mine were normally headers or 10 yards out, scuffed it in. But we were just talking about it a minute ago. Graham Anthony's tried to cross it. It's been deflected out, and I was about 45 yards out. It's probably about 25 yards out. And Colin Carter always, every time I see him, how's that shinner of yours? Is that always says it every time, and then he corrects it to, without the first goal we wouldn't have had the second one or whatever. But I did catch it pretty sweet, really. I certainly didn't shin it, as he says. But again, it meant nothing at the time because we had to get a second one.
What did you say to each other after it hit the back of the net? What was the message throughout the team?
I'm not sure I can tell you that. Get your fingers out, generally. I remember, I've seen it since. I just try and get everyone to go back and you're obviously waving your arms in the air. And I thought then that, we could go on to win it. I thought we'd lift the crowd a bit. The crowd were great all day, but you could sense a little bit of nervousness. But I thought that would lift us a bit, and I thought we'd create more chances. After that, we had quite a few attacking players on at that point, but the chances didn't really come.
How much information were you getting about the Scarborough game, and where was that coming from?
Just from buzzes in the crowd, really. We found out at half time, obviously, when we came in, and then you'd hear murmurs in the crowd, and there'd be a bit of a cheer, and then there'd be a bit of a downer, and then obviously Colin did his bit at the end. And I don't care who you are, players now say, "Oh, don't hear the crowd," and don't, you do. Especially at smaller places like, you don't hear individual voices really. If you're playing at Man United or whatever, and there's 60,000 people there, you don't hear individuals because there's such a noise from everyone. But the players definitely heard that, and it definitely did lift us a bit.
Corner comes in, Dobes' header, the save, Jimmy does his bit. What was that like?
Well, everyone says about my goal, and obviously, you know, that would have made it 1-1 and it wouldn't have happened without that. But people forget about Dobes' header as well. You know, I've watched it 100, 200 times now. It's a great header. We got the corner. Again, it was a bit of a nothing ball, and I think Ian Stevens might have been tried to cross it in, and it's a bit of a nothing ball. We got the corner, and I said to the ref, I said, how long? And he says, this is it. This is your last chance. So we knew then that was it. And I didn't know Glassy had come up. Corner comes in, good ball from Graham. I started to move towards it, and Dobes, you know, attacked it really well. Great header. Keeper saves it, and you think, well, that's that. And then someone in red appears. And I don't want to swear, but I thought, who the fuck's that? And I honestly thought at first it was a fan, because I didn't know, you know, when Glassy was going, can I go up and stuff. I hadn't seen any of that because I was concentrating on the corner. So I thought, what's going on there? And then it's like, who cares? So everyone's doing. Brokey's jumping up and down on the spot. I think Stuart jumped on Glassy first, Stuart Whitehead, and then I was on him, and we were obviously. And then 40, however many people there were, and then all I can hear is, I can't hardly breathe. And Glassy's going, I can't breathe. Eventually, you know, the ref got pushed over as well, I think, didn't he? But, you know, that's the reaction you're going to get. It meant so much to us.
From what you achieved in your career, David, where does that moment rank in memories?
Well, it's not one I want to remember for where we were all season, but obviously that's the highlight of my career. You know, being involved in that, scoring as well. I think a couple of weeks after that, Man United did the treble, and they scored 2 late goals, you know, to beat Bayern Munich. And I was there when Man City beat QPR with the Aguero goal. And they were great, and they're great endings to things, and people say that will never happen again. If Aguero doesn't score that goal, or Solskjaer doesn't score that goal, they're not out of a job, probably, on the Monday morning. You know, it would have been great for City to win the Premier League, but if they hadn't have won it, they probably would have won it the next year. But, you know, this was our jobs on the line. We weren't sure what was going to happen if we went into the conference. I myself had a 2-year contract, a lot of the lads did. We didn't know if that would be honoured or if they'd get rid of us. I was getting married that 2 weeks after as well, so it was massive for us. And the way it happened, I don't think it'll ever happen again.
When did it all sink in that it had happened in that manner and what it meant to the club and yourselves?
It was just a bit surreal, because I didn't know. We went back to kick off, and the refs ushering the players, and all the Plymouth players are virtually lined up down this side. As soon as he blows there off, and I didn't know they were going to do that. I'd gone down to left-sided centre half or whatever, and I'm looking, thinking, oh, this is great, this. Whistle goes, obviously everyone comes on the pitch. Took me about 10 minutes to get back into the dressing room, and some people were coming in with just the slips. You know, obviously when you get back in the dressing room, everyone's down there, you know, the chairman's down there, and Nige, and I was delighted for Nige, because he under, you know, difficult circumstances, we'd lost Kagi on deadline day, and we got Glassy in, which turned out to be a good move, really. But you know, the lads are celebrating in there, and then I think everyone thinks that we went out, and we were out all night till 2-3 in the morning. We went down to Leonardo's, I think it was then, and there were probably all the players in there, the fans are buying us drinks and that. By 9:30, 10 o'clock, I was knackered, and Glassy was the same. He was staying at Graham Anthony's at the guest house, the Cartref, where we all stayed. And I think I probably was in bed at 10:30 because I was that drained emotionally from it. And then obviously you get up next day and you think, well, look forward now, and hopefully Nigel will be there next year, because his contract was out as well, and it didn't really happen like that.
Just finally from me, David, do you ever get tired of talking about it?
No, never. No, because it's good that people remember, and it's nice when people say, oh, everyone forgets about your goal. And they do in some ways, but you know, I wouldn't be here now if people didn't remember it. And it is part and parcel of it. And why would they remember my goal when Jimmy does that?